Around 6:30 a.m. on October 7th, most Israelis were soundly sleeping in their homes when all of a sudden air raid alarms went off. A lot of rockets were fired at Israeli towns very quickly. The Israeli Defense Forces say that about 2,200 rockets were fired. But Hamas says that 5,000 rockets were fired. Israel has something called the Iron Dome. The air defense system is one of the best in the world. Israel uses the newest military technology to stop and destroy rockets in mid-air whenever they are fired at the country. This keeps the country safe, but in this case, 5,000 rockets were fired in 20 minutes. This Iron Dome didn't work. Because of these acts, thousands of people in Israel were killed or hurt. Israel and Palestine have been at odds for many years, but this sudden attack is the worst in the last few decades. It also makes us think of the Yom Kippur War. In October 1973, exactly 50 years ago, Egypt and Syria attacked Israel without warning in a similar way. The Yom Kippur War started soon after, and this attack is really a war. Besides the rocket attacks, Hamas also attacked from the sea, the air, and the ground. On the border between Israel and Gaza, a bulldozer broke down the wall. A lot of Palestinians were seen crossing into Israel. Some came in through the air on motorbikes, while others used motorized hang gliders. Besides this, Hamas also struck Israel from the water in speedboats. A lot of things happened in one day. Also struck was a military base on the border between Israel and Gaza. A tank from Israel was taken. Hamas's group kidnapped a lot of Israeli soldiers, kidnapped and kept them there. And Hamas terrorists got into the Israeli towns and cities that were close to the border. Over 100 civilians have been killed, and many more are being held as hostages. In answer, Israel has declared war. There were airstrikes in Gaza by the Israeli forces that killed or hurt thousands of Palestinians. Let us look at the map to get a better idea of what's going on. The Middle East is home to both Israel and Palestine. Lebanon is a country in the north. Syria can be found in the northeast. The country of Jordan is in the east. Egypt is in the southwest. The Mediterranean Sea is to the west. Israel is the country in the middle. Palestine's land is split into two separate areas. The West Bank is in the west of Jordan, and the Gaza Strip is in the southwest of Israel, next to Egypt. There are a lot of Israeli villages in the West Bank, which is occupied by Palestinians. Israel is in charge of them, and many other countries, including the UN, think they are criminals. The West Bank's Palestinian lands are run by the Palestinian Authority, which is run by Fatah, a group of politicians. Hamas, on the other hand, runs the Gaza Strip on its own. In the past, there was a different war between Fatah and Hamas. Most countries think of Hamas as a terrorist group because it is an extreme Palestinian group. The European Union, Canada, Israel, Japan, Australia, the United States, and the United Kingdom all label Hamas as a terrorist group. On the other hand, Brazil, China, Egypt, Iran, Norway, Qatar, Russia, Syria, and Turkey do not see it as a terrorist group. Some countries also think that only Hamas's military arm is a terrorist business, the same as New Zealand and Paraguay. This is important for geopolitics because it shows how these countries are responding to the present situation in very different ways. The Gaza Strip is shown in red on the map of the current war, and the blue color shows how much Israeli land has been invaded by militant Palestinians. Mohammed al-Daif, the military leader of Hamas, has called this attack Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. He also said that Hamas is doing this because Israel has done terrible things to the Palestinians, and that this is a direct answer to what happened at Al-Aqsa Mosque. Because of this, Israel began its own attack, which was called Operation Iron Swords. The Navy, Air Force, and ground forces of the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, have all been sent out. Besides that, they used drones to attack Gaza. The Energy Minister of Israel signed a bill that would cut off Gaza's power. An important part of Gaza's energy came from Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, said on TV, "Citizens of Israel, we are at war." He said that the enemy would have to pay a price that had never been seen before. The defense minister said Hamas had made a big mistake and that Israel would win the war. Much has been said about how the famous Israeli intelligence agency Mossad missed this attack during this war. One of the most powerful spy outfits is said to be Mossad. They have people who work for them who are spying on the Palestinian forces. They're in Syria, Lebanon, and other places around the world. In the past, it has been shown that Mossad spies have killed important military leaders at exact times, sometimes by putting GPS trackers on cars. sometimes by using drones and sometimes by using cell phones. The question is how they could have missed the fact that thousands of rockets were being stored in Gaza if they were such a powerful organization. There are cameras and ground motion sensors built into the fence that separates Gaza from Israel, and the army checks that area regularly. Why did these smart walls not work? A lot of people in Israel are critical of the government. An ex-chief of the Israeli Navy told the Israeli TV station Channel 12 that the government has done a terrible job with this. The whole country wants to know where the IDF, police, and security are. He told the BBC that this intelligence failure is already the subject of a major probe. Read this piece from the Times of Israel. It said that Egypt's intelligence leaders had told Israel many times that something big was going to happen. And it said that those warnings were overlooked. When asked about how other countries felt about the attack, American President Joe Biden said that he stands by Israel with rock-solid and unwavering support. It was also said that the head of foreign policy for the European Union strongly condemned this attack and said that Israel has the right to protect itself under international law. They said that the Israeli prisoners should be freed right away. There has been a lot of support for Hamas from Iran. Their foreign office said that the attack by Hamas was an act of self-defense by the Palestinians. Egypt, a nearby country, said that it is talking to Saudi Arabia and Jordan to try to ease tensions between Israel and the Palestinians. Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, told the official news service WAFA that the Palestinians have the right to defend themselves against the threats of settlers and foreign troops. He is from the Fatah party, which runs the West Bank, as I already said, and there have been fights between Fatah and Hamas in the past. Jews were hounded in Europe for hundreds of years, so to save their lives they fled to Palestine. Now Palestinians are refugees in their own country, so it's clear that we should back Palestine's cause, but not by supporting terrorists, Israeli victims who were not guilty and their families. And this shouldn't be a surprise since Hamas acts here are just terrorism. A lot of upsetting videos have shown how Hamas terrorists have hurt women and civilians in ways that this video can't even begin to explain. Some people think of them as freedom fighters, which is a shame. The common people in Palestine have been wronged, but killing the common people in Israel is always wrong and can never be justified. I want to say again what I said in the last video. The Hamas organization is a recognized terrorist. Israel is also a strong country with a good democracy. This is why Israel should be smart about how it uses its power. Some common are deeply hurt by such remarks. On the one hand, there are people who want Palestine to go away completely. They are happy about the attacks on Palestine, advising that none of them should live, while not considering the everyday lives of Palestinians and what they go through. On the other hand, some people celebrate Hamas terrorists as a unit. They're glad that Israel is being hit. They want to get rid of Israel. Also, they said Israel shouldn't be a country. If someone says something like that to you on social media, remember that you are a person, not a vampire looking for blood. When you are far away, it is easy to start a war. But think about what those everyday Israeli and Palestinian families are